faster I would figure out how to figure out the rest of my life. I don't know if I would have been able to do college without that program. Like, I am trying today to spend time with people who inspire me, who love me, and who want to grow with me.
Hey there, welcome to First Gen Fridays, a limited series by Dose Podcast highlighting first generation Americans. My guest today is Sebastian Valencia, the musician and founder of In the Groove Creative Space. What is the earliest context the audience and I need to understand about you, about where you grew up, and about your family, where they come from, to really appreciate your journey?
You know, I come from a home that was broken, right? I come from divorced parents. And unfortunately, some of my earliest memories are my parents arguing, my dad coming to pick me up and fighting with my mom. Uh, for different reasons, I don't remember exactly too much. And I think that early child, that those memories have played such a big role in like what goals I've wanted to, what I knew what I didn't want for my future in a way. I think that seeing that also shaped my personality and my character in terms of like avoiding conflict because of it. I think it shaped me more than I think about sometimes.
Where are your parents from?
Colombia.
Why did they move here?
My dad, I think he was in his early 30s when he came here, and my mom was in probably her early 20s, mid 20s.
Do you know what prompted them to make such a big journey?
So for my dad, I know that, he grew up very poor. Like, he grew up really struggling, and the opportunity for him came. One of my uncles was already here, and the opportunity for him came, and he took it, and he took the risk to come here, um, and then for my mom's mother left them when she was a child. She came to this country. I don't exactly know too much of the details, but I know that it was on my mom's side. It was 6 girls, and they all stayed with my grandfather. And so she was basically raised by my grandfather and one of his sisters, so one of their aunts. I guess the opportunity came. They got in touch with their mother, and they came. I don't really know too much of the details, but yeah.
You grew up in Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
which can be also known as Little Colombia sometimes. How was growing up there and growing up with a culture so close to the one your parents grew up with?
It played such a huge role. Like, I mean, there's a huge population of Colombians in Elizabeth, but it's also a melting pot. Like, there's so many different cultures, and it was interesting because, I mean, this is the first time I actually say this out loud, but like, I remember there was also a big Puerto Rican community, right? So in my eyes, being Colombian at the age of 7 was like not the coolest thing, because there were so many Puerto Ricans that I was around that was like, I was like, I remember there was a part of me that wished I was Puerto Rican. I mean, that was one large population of Puerto Ricans, but then there was also, Indians. There was a lot of different cultures in Elizabeth at the time. I mean, even now. I mean, I think the Latin community has grown even more now. The more that I met Colombians and like Colombian kids, or at least first generation Colombian kids, I think it made me feel more like, oh wow, like you eat arepas too. Oh wow, like, little things. I can hear it in the accents. I started to understand the difference. As I got older, meeting different kinds of Latin people, I used to fall in love with it. Like, there was a time where one of my best friends was Puerto Rican, and I would be at his house all the time eating the food that he ate. I mean, probably even adopting the accent a little bit when I spoke to his grandmother, or like one of my other friends was Mexican, and I mean, they used to take care of me from the age of 4, And I remember like I could smell the tortillas being made and the mole, and I still remember those. So I think that it being in such a melting pot helped me just understand a lot more. Than I knew that my culture and my Colombian heritage wasn't the only thing that existed. I think that I learned to appreciate other cultures from a very early age.
That is such a gift, I think,
Mm,
because a lot of people don't get a chance to travel the world.
mhm,
And if you grew up in a place that's very homogeneous, then you don't get that chance. And the fact that with that your neighbors, that your community, that you could almost explore the world
mhm.
without really leaving
Yeah,
home,
yeah,
that's a really cool
yeah,
experience.
yeah. It was. I mean, and not only in the Colombian household, but like I was telling you before, like I grew up also like as I got older, I I would like the black community. I in high school I played football, so like it was such a like understanding those cultures. And then now like after football practice, it's like a friend of mine is telling me to go to his house. I go to his house, and it's like his mom is cooking different. Like I never had spaghettis with sugar on it, but then that's something that I learned. And then after that, I mean, for years, like I would always ask for sugar after when eating spaghettis. Like like those little things that are that, yeah, I do feel so blessed for. And I didn't really know what I had until I got older and I started meeting people who I guess didn't understand how to. And it's not really morphing your personality, but it's really just adapting to difference. And I think it's helped me understand people a lot more.
Because you grew up to learning to be flexible.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm curious, you're growing up at this melting pot. How did you see yourself in regards of how did you identify? Did you identify as being Colombian? Did you identify as being Latino?
Mhm.
Or did you identify as being American? And I separate Colombian with Latino because in my own experience, I didn't really know what a Latino was until I got to this country
Mhm.
and I was filling out my college
Mhm.
applications. And I was like, oh, I'm Latina?
Mhm.
Because that's not something we talk about in Latin America.
Mhm.
So I'm curious about that experience for you.
I mean, as you're bringing me back to little Sebastian, I think that, man, I didn't learn what a white person was until college. Like
Mm,
I didn't really know of. I mean, there was a couple. Like there was this one white boy. He his name was Sonny. We grew up with him. He was older than us. Unfortunately, he taught us how to do all the bad things we did as kids. Um, and then maybe I had some like teachers that were white, but overall, like it was so like I never felt like American. Like or identified as I always identified as Colombian. Like I mean, in the football team, I was the Spanish kid. I was Poppy. I knew that I was Colombian, and I felt Colombian always.
I would love for you to share a little bit of your background, of your upbringing growing up in Elizabeth,
Mm,
because you mentioned Sonny taught you to do all the bad
hmm
things.
hmm
Can you share with us maybe one or two stories about that past life?
Oh man. I think of my childhood and I think of like, man, this could be a great production to like recreate like The Sandlot or like these movies that have like a bunch of like little boys. I mean, I grew up in a building. We had a pool in the backyard. It was a 9 foot deep pool. I don't know how that was legal, right? But
That's very deep.
yeah, it was 9 foot deep, and there was a lifeguard that was never licensed or anything. My older brother was a lifeguard, and my older brother, like, um, Sonny was a lifeguard at a time.
Oh, Sonny.
they would they would hire anybody, and the summers were like, I mean, it just felt like a movie. Like sometimes I would be the first person outside, 8, 9 years old, and I'd go to the backyard. The backyard had an area where it was fenced, and it was like a blue floor that was painted, and it was a concrete, like a huge concrete slab. And they would do sometimes people would do barbecues. We would play in that area. We'd play everything: kickball, baseball. There were like these super older kids at the time. They were not white, American white, but they were Russian. I remember they would come and it always felt like a show. Like it felt like we were at a sports complex because they would come in and play roller hockey. So they would come in with their sticks and tennis balls and geared up. And they would play hockey, and we would just like watch amazed, like what the hell is going on here. And I had the privilege of having the best seat. I had the suite because my apartment faced the back. I was on the first floor, so I just had like the perfect view. Sometimes like if I would come outside randomly, my friend Daniel would come outside, or Alex, and then early on it was just the kids from the building that would be outside. But as we got older, like as we got into middle school, we met other kids that lived in the area, and then our building was the place to be, right? So our apartment building had about 100 apartments, so it was huge.
Oh, wow.
9 floors. So like, we would be playing in the backyard, and something random that Sonny would do is we would be playing, let's say on a Saturday morning, you know, playing soccer. He would hear us, or even just talking, and out of nowhere, we'd hear somebody go, "Ah!" Right, and that meant that Sonny was up there upstairs with his either his paintball gun or a BB gun shooting,
Oh
right?
my
And
God.
everybody would book. Like we would like there was a slide, and we would like grab onto the back of the slide, hoping that he didn't get our fingers, right? So we would just hold and then like hang on each other behind a slide and just hear the slide. It was like an aluminum slide, and we would just hear like pa 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 hitting in the paintball. I mean, it was such a like I get so excited talking about, like, I had such a beautiful childhood. I might have started off a little dark with the divorce thing, but man, like I genuinely believe that I had such an amazing upbringing, such an amazing childhood. That was in the summers. Now in the winters, we had like there were seasons for malice. We would go to the front of our building, right? And there was bushes at our building. So when it snowed, like these bushes would create like big old things around. Like, so what we would do is we would hide along the building. There was like a little pathway, and then like a little sidewalk, and then the bushes were right in front. So what we would do is we'd all align ourselves in the front of the building, behind the bushes, and we'd make snowballs. And we wouldn't throw them at each other. We would throw them at cars that were passing by us. So we'd go and just like if a bus came, we'd be like bus, and everybody would hitting the bus, and like sometimes the bus driver would literally stop. It was the bus 59, either the 59 or the 112. The bus would stop, and we'd have to like run. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my God. What about the less fun stuff that happened growing up there?
That started as we got older. Like when everybody went into high school, I remember like literally the night that my friends started to join gangs, right? That was, I mean, thinking it's such a painful part of my upbringing, because I remember, that I remember just being so genuine and so real, and so connected with certain friends, and then unfortunately that lifestyle of violence and drugs led some of them to like uh, prison. A lot of them went to prison. A couple of them died, and a couple of them like got hooked on drugs, and till this day are still struggling with it. And I mean, that I remember the first night we were at a park, and then there was this one guy that was brought in by an older gentleman in the group. That night, we were all together. It was a perfect night for somebody that wanted to recruit, right? And it was dark. It was at School 14 Park. We were all on the jungle gym, and this older dude, he would just kind of like walk by us. He looked cool, very smooth, and he just looked at us, just kind of scanning to see like our vibe. And he started basically trying to recruit, like asking, telling us about his gang. And it was an up and coming gang at the time in Elizabeth. And from that day, like a couple friends joined, right? Two of them being two of the closest ones that I was always that I would always hang out with at the time. And I just remember that after that day, I was like, okay, boom. I think 2 days later, they got the call and they hit, like, we got together in the morning like usual, and they were like, yo, we got to go to the School 14 park. We got to initiate somebody in, and I'm talking, we were, I'd say 13, 14 years old.
Mm.
And so I went with them. It was the three of us. And we went to this park, and there was an open field, and there was a group of people already waiting. There was a kid waiting, and there was a circle, kind of like a half a circle. And there's one dude in the middle. I knew the dude. And then my boys took off their whatever they were wearing, and they were like, all right, let's get started. You guys have 2 minutes or something.
For what?
They started beating on this, two of them against one of them. So my two friends against this one kid.
And the kid was already in the gang? Or?
No, they were initiating him into the gang. So this was the process of getting him into their gang. And they started fighting, So by the time that it ended, this one kid's face was completely distorted. Like, I'm talking like he was getting demolished, like kicked in the face, beat, like completely deformed by the time he left. And from that moment on, I knew that I had to separate myself.
I am curious about, one, what was the appeal for your friends to join?
Mm-hmm.
And two, what separated you from them? Mm-hmm. Because I can see in that instant being so easy to join in.
Mm-hmm. I think that for them, it was this, at least at the time, it was this need of proving something, that they were capable, that they were tough. And something that I know about both of them is that they both grew up without fathers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that played a big role. And I think that what separated me was the fact that I did have a father. And, my father he was such an amazing father. Like he was a voice in my head even when he wasn't with me. Like, I would always hear his advice, always hear. And so in the moments where he was telling me this advice, like I like, whatever. But he also had no idea what I was dealing with in the streets. Like, I wouldn't tell him any of this stuff, but it was, I think that played a big part, like understanding. For me, like I never felt like I needed to prove myself to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been like a super aggressive person. I've never been like a tough guy. And I never felt like I needed to be. Even though that I think that growing up, that probably I was punked sometimes, once in a while. Like, I felt like I was a little bullied, a little bit, taken advantage of, because I was, I wasn't an aggressive person. I wasn't a confrontational person.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
How having a parent or not present can make such an impact. Mm-hmm. And I'm honestly not surprised, but to hear those kind of stories and to see how the road divides in two and the very opposite ways in which you can go and the difference good advice from parents can make, it's really crazy.
It really is. And, what's crazy is that I also have a friend who grew up with both parents, and we grew up, at least from our perspective, it looked like, a couple friends that had both parents. But this one specific person, he actually ended up getting killed, right? He joined the gang and he ended up getting killed. And, he had both parents. So and I don't know what was going on behind the scenes in their home, or what their relationship was like with their parents, what his relationship was like with their parents. But it just makes me wonder. It's like, all right, like, what happened? Like, what's the difference there?
Yeah. I think it shows the role values play and knowing your dad. And I don't want to say, oh, it's Colombian values, but there's something there about his upbringing that he was able to transfer to you. And yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
I would love for us to talk about your transition from high school into college. You're leaving your community in a way to join now higher education. How was that transition for you? Was it like a culture shock at all?
I want to say yes, but I had a big cushion. Like I had a safe place before I went into college. I I joined the EOP program,
Mm-hmm.
right? We didn't have the money to pay for college, really. I didn't have the grades to go into this school, but because of this program, there was an interview process. They saw my potential and they allowed me into their program, which was basically a summer program between my senior year and my first year in college. And they gave us like it's literally called a boot camp, like fast paced courses, architecture classes. So by the time I went into college, and in this, it's called the Educational Opportunity Program, and they give you in this program, it's a lot of people who maybe are not ready or with the grades, whether it's with the grades or maybe financially they need support. um, but this program sees the potential in the students, and so it was a lot of people like me, in this program. Once we went into the our freshman year, it was like unlike every other freshman who's just like fresh walking around. Like we would see it felt like we would see our family, our group, and it was like, it made it feel so much, made us, we'd already been in these rooms, like we knew how to walk around campus,
Like
we knew it.
this is my spot.
Yes, yeah. So it definitely gave us that confidence, where I think that if I don't know if I would have been able to do college without that program. I wasn't ready, going from Dwyer House in Elizabeth, New Jersey to go to NJIT. Like I don't think I was ready. But this program definitely like helped me feel ready. And I think that feeling ready is even more important than being ready. Like sometimes you could be ready for something, and if you're not doing it with confidence, like you will lose the opportunity.
What did going to college meant for you and even for your family?
Going to college meant that there was an opportunity to help my mom not have to struggle anymore. That's really all it was. It was an opportunity to provide and to bring value to my household. Other than that, it was also like an unknown. Like, what can I become? I see what's around me in my neighborhood, and like I didn't feel connected to them. There was a point where I was like, that's not what I want to be. I think so much bigger. Why am I not having these conversations with any of my friends? Why, like I started to feel like there was a lack of inspiration, and I love that feeling of being inspired. And in college, I feel like that was that part of me was like born.
What did you pursue in college?
I did architecture.
And how was that journey for you?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was hard, really hard. I mean, that for anybody who knows about what that career and what that field asks of you in school, it's a long, long hours. You really learn to develop a thick skin because you dedicate long, long nights on a project, on this design, and to know that it's gonna be bashed the next morning at an 8:30 a.m. Review. Like you go in there knowing. So there is like this. I mean, and that has helped me so much in life in general. Like after college, but yeah, it was just such a the degree, the field of architecture is such a beautiful field to study and to understand. And I think that I was very immature at the time, and I don't think I took advantage of it as much as I would have, with the mindset that I have today. I know that I got so much from it, and I still get from it.
Did you know that I consider being an architect once upon a time?
I've heard.
Yeah. But I was always scared of the portfolio piece. And that's why I didn't do it. I was like, I don't have a portfolio.
I never created a portfolio. I never created a portfolio.
So I was robbed.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your connection to Colombia, to your Latino identity in college. I know that NJIT there's a decent amount of Hispanics there, but I'm curious about if you felt that you disconnected yourself somehow, where you're using Spanish as much. Because you're going through your own transitions, and architecture school itself is already hard. You're spending so much time. You're always speaking English with your colleagues. How is that part of your life with your identity?
I think that, I mean, NJIT was such a beautiful place to learn because it's also a melting pot. Like there were so many different cultures there. Because I was a part of the EOP program, there were so many Latinos in there. And so I already had a lot of Latin friends. And then what I found beautiful in college was the fact that, I was a freshman coming into these classes, and like I would randomly run into somebody who just moved here from Colombia,
Mm.
was able to speak to me in English. I could recognize the accent, that they have a little accent. Where are you from? They're Colombian. They've only been here for a year. And I just being in amazement, like, because they speak fluently. They made it to the same school that I did as a as an American. I can only imagine the barriers they had to jump through to get there. In this part of my life, like it really, I started to really hone in my culture. I joined the dance team, so I was dancing with, dancing Latin music, but then also like learning how to dance African music and learning how to dance Indian, like learning about their culture. And so it was beautiful. Like I think that I really, at NJIT, I really started to embrace my culture and understand that what made me beautiful was my culture and what I brought to the table. And I was able to bring my personality in all ways. And sometimes, it didn't click with some people, but then with other people it did. Like I had this one friend who was from, his name was Sasu. He was, I think, maybe Nigeria. I'm not sure exactly. I'm sorry, man. But I clicked with him so well, and he was a lot more um timid, and I was a little more outgoing, but like we just bonded so well. Or with my friend Hossam, like our personalities just meshed, and it was a beautiful time. I think that, and I think that my culture played such a big part in that, because it's played such a big part in who I am.
Yeah, I think you've always carried that with you,
Mm,
and I have a lot of respect for that,
mm,
because that's not always the case, and that's not necessarily a dig to anybody.
mm,
I just think it's really cool when you're able to carry that through the different seasons of your
mm.
life. So let's fast forward to you get out of college, you go through architecture school. Are you an architect today?
No, no. I mean, I left the field. So after college, I went into project management, and I worked for a big general contractor. We worked on an airport, and then after that, I left to pursue my music career. Right, I was always writing music, and I've been into music since I was a kid, and throughout college, I was in studios and writing music, and then I got to a point where I got really frustrated at the age of 22, 23. My days were, I mean, even to think about it now, it just, I can't believe it. Like, I would leave my house at 5 a.m. to be at my job site by 7 p.m. By 7 a.m. to be back home by 5, 6, 7 sometimes. And I wouldn't have anything, like I would be at work all day, and doing that for 2.5 years was extremely overwhelming.
Hmm.
And then you get to a point where it's like, is this what the rest of my life is gonna look like?
That's a very scary thought.
Yeah, yeah, it was very, very scary, and it just felt like a hole. Like there was no way. The only way out was to get out, and the sooner that I got out, faster I would figure out how to figure out the rest of my life. But that getting out was very difficult. Less because I was afraid to bet on myself, but more because I didn't want to let down my dad at the time. I think that that was the thing that was holding me back the most, letting him down.
Why was letting him down so scary?
Because I've always held him at in such a light, and I think that as beautiful as my childhood was, there was also challenges, and being brought up by a single mother raising 4 kids, So there was a lot of time that we spent alone. In a way, like I raised myself to a certain extent with my friends, but my mom wasn't home a lot. I would see my dad on the weekends. So when I was home, like my mom, she was a loving mother, a super loving mother, but she did have her challenges where she would get frustrated really easily. She would hit us, and yell at us, and and then on the weekends when I would see my dad, it was nothing but love. Nothing but love. I think my dad knocked on my head once when I talked back to him, but never did he really like hit me. Never did he maybe raise his voice a little bit, but just with the tone of his voice, he would correct me. All that created, the relationship that and the light that I saw my dad in. Like I needed to always be in good terms with him, because if not, I didn't know what the other side would look like, and I didn't want to see that other side. He would literally tell me, like when he would get upset with me, he was like, "I don't want to get upset with you. You don't want me to get."
That threat alone.
Yeah,
was
that
enough.
little threat was just like, all right,
I'll believe you.
I won't take it there. So I think that little boy in me, when it came to make this decision, um, was afraid.
Can you tell me about a few examples of the small and big ways you've bet on yourself throughout the years?
If we start off with something small, I think I've always been a person to love deeply. Like I'm very passionate. I've been betting on my soul. Like I've been willing to be hurt if I needed to be vulnerable. I've never really been afraid to be vulnerable, and I think though that I've been doing that from very early on in my life, and I have put myself in situations where I've been let down. I've been maybe taken advantage of a little bit. Maybe I come off a little naive because I just believe in the best that a person can be in my eyes. Like I want to believe that they also want to be kind people. So I think that those are small ways that I've bet on myself, and I think bigger ways that I've bet on. Actually, that might be actually the big part.
How is that betting on yourself? I'm curious.
I mean, at least when I do it, I feel this disconnection from the outcome, and believing that me being vulnerable in this with this person, or me trusting this person, I'm trusting in my intuition. And so I'm betting in my intuition. I'm
Okay.
betting into that deeper inner self that removes like expectation, that removes and just hopes, in the hopes that maybe something good can come out of this. Maybe they are the great person that I think that they can be. And then the other part would be more, I mean, I guess more literal betting on myself would be, when I decided to leave college. I mean, to leave my job, my corporate job, and to pursue music, and to find ways, whether it was, being a waiter, a busboy at the time, going from, making 70,000 a year to making, moving into a bedroom. Um, that whole journey was wild. I had my own apartment at 23, and then by 25 I was living in a basement that smelled like mold. I didn't even live in the whole basement. My brother, he had the basement, and he had a little room that was probably the size of this carpet, and I had my twin bed in there, and I had a little closet where I would put my clothes. And in that room, like I feel like I was brought to this place of like, what do I want to create of my life? That was a huge way of betting on myself, and I have been blessed to see the better part of it now.
Did you in that moment see that as a setback?
No,
How
I,
did you not? Because it would be so easy to.
hmm. No, I just saw. I knew that I was gonna have to. Um, I knew I had the vision of what was down the line, of what was coming. Um, and I would always just look at that. Like, I mean, I was dealing with challenges in the moment, but I think that like I knew what the bigger vision looked like, and that was all. And I knew that I didn't know how long this process was going to take. I and that not knowing also forced me to like try to figure it out quicker, doing more, making mistakes faster, trusting people faster, and getting them out of my life quicker in a way,
Mm.
and then understanding what was for me and what wasn't for me.
What does the vision look like now?
2023, I opened up a music school, right? And now the music school is at a little over 100 students. So the vision is huge. I was literally just writing some goals for next year, for 5 years, and for 10 years. And you know, the vision for 5 years looks huge. My goals have exponentially been growing, and I've just been able to see myself in a bigger light because of the risks that I took. You know, in my earlier years. Now I know that I can bet on myself, and I'll figure
Mm.
out a way to get to those goals. There's no doubt in my mind that I will achieve those goals. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen.
I'd love to ask you about the role you think passion plays with this trust that you have in yourself.
Mm,
Because I see that a lot of people talk about passion, and I really think it's an overused word.
mm,
But for people who are artists in the way that you are, singers, that is something you almost grew up with, were born with, that you wanted to sing, you wanted to pursue music. That's a very kind of like cut black and white goal.
mm,
So I'm curious about how that passion has guided you,
mm.
or how do you think about it?
It's honestly been everything. It's like that inner voice. That inner voice. We have the voice that talks negatively to us and the voice that talks positively. And I have learned to make that passion, that voice that talks louder to me, talk louder and louder, and quiet down. Obviously, this guy sometimes gets in the way, but I've just learned to listen to this one more. I've learned to understand that he wants the best for me.
Do you think your younger self would be proud of where you are today, of
Yeah,
your journey?
I think so. I think he would be very, very proud. I mean, he is very proud. I think he still lives in me, and because I still keep him alive, and that's where my passion, that's where it comes from him.
What does success look like for you?
I'm so successful already. I feel like I am so happy. And I'm happy because I choose to be happy. There's days where I get sad and I get depressed a little bit and get sad and cry, but it's all a part of it. I think that you know, I think it's a choice. It's a choice to be happy. And I choose to find it even when it's difficult, even when I shouldn't be in a way. I feel extremely successful and grateful.
Do you feel pressure to succeed, to be the first in your family to do X, Y, and Z?
Not really. In my family's eyes, they have, some of them have already told me, like, I think that they already view me in this light. They've always viewed me. I've been very loved. I've been so loved my whole life. And I think that also plays a big part. Like my
Mhm.
family, I've yeah, like I've just always felt extremely loved. Not only by my family, but I think that the risk of me that I was talking about the vulnerability, that allows me to tap in to a deeper part of people quicker. And so I connect with people at a deeper level that, you know, and 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 it just allows for love to guide the relationship.
Mm,
And so I yeah, I don't feel that pressure at all.
that's beautiful. And how has the journey of being an entrepreneur been for you?
It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's kind of been how our Monopoly games go. It's been such a learning experience to learn about not only technical things, but also about myself and what are my challenges. And I think that um, yeah, I've learned how to understand where I'm strong and where I'm weak, and understand to control what I can, and let go of what I can't control.
Do you think that being an entrepreneur is the new American dream?
I wouldn't say American. I would say I think it's a possible thing for people to do all over the world. Like I think that it's you have from your little lady in Colombia selling mangoes. Like she's an entrepreneur. She's I think that it is whatever however big you can make the vision be. Like you can be, she can also feel extremely successful, because her day to day, she's, I don't know. I think that yeah, not only an American dream. I would say it's a dream for anybody in the world.
If you could give advice to people wanting to pursue music, what would you say to them?
Learn an instrument. Learn an instrument. I think that's the learn an instrument and understand everything about it. Like I think that I was literally just having this conversation today about AI and the beauty that it is and that it brings, but then also, it's going to expose you. You can't lie to yourself, right? As a musician, you put in hours, hours. As a vocalist, you put in hours. There's nothing like getting in front of a crowd and messing up, and singing the wrong note, getting, singing to a room with 3 people, you know, that is what builds your character, and that's what's going to build your confidence, competence. So learning an instrument is going to it's going to help you feel more confident and actually knowing it. And then you can utilize AI as a tool to help you create whatever it is you want to create.
What's something you wish you had learned earlier in your journey?
That it's okay not to be liked by everybody, that I don't have to be liked by everybody, that I don't have to get along with everybody. I think I'm at a place now where I'm completely cool with being home with my wife, and yeah, like nothing else really matters. We're all just pretending to know what we're doing, even me. Like I'm pretending. Like I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out as I go, and that's yeah. Like and yeah, that's one thing. That's another thing. That everybody is just pretending.
To finish this off, I would love to know what are some sayings or lessons that either of your parents taught you that have stuck with you until today?
Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. That's the biggest one. My mom used to always say that to my older brother. And
can you translate that for?
Tell me who you spend your time with, and I will tell you who you are. And yeah, like I am trying today to spend time with people who inspire me, who love me, and who want to grow with me.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's fun.
I didn't understand your vision. I didn't understand, but I didn't have to. Like, I think that I just want to be a part of something that is cared for, right? Like whatever it is, like, and I think I've always been like this. Like something that you care for. I don't have to be I be behind the scenes in it, but I can tell that you care for it. I don't want to waste my time. And like I now see, like, yeah, you care for it, you're being consistent, and there's no doubt in my mind that if you continue this path, that whatever it is that you want, you're gonna fucking get. Mm-hmm. Like there's no doubt.
Hear you say that is like, I don't know, it's like, it's so awesome to hear that. It makes me want to tear up because I have fucking hard days, you know what I mean? Like this episode with, obviously he's such a high up person. I'm not gonna be doing collab with him. I'm expecting it to flop because that's just how it goes, you know? Like day one with complete flop, and it's like the biggest names flop, right? Mm-hmm. And it's about understanding that like they're here for credentials, mm-hmm. And like when people hear they're like, oh, I'm in. Even though they don't know that that's probably the episode that did the worst. You know, and I get scared because I don't know how I'm going to do this with and maybe that's not a question that I should be asking right now, but it's inevitable not to think about. Like, I want to keep up the quality, you know, and I'm not always going to have the time or the funds, and
yeah, no, and it's fucking, I think it's just scary, you know. It's scary because you're I mean, you have something that I don't have.
What?
You have such first of all, you're ballsy as fuck. What you were saying, you can be cansona and you're not afraid of it. That is amazing. That's amazing. I'm too cool, right? Which doesn't help me. And I'm aware of that. So don't let that go, because the squeaky wheel gets the fucking oil, and you have proven that to yourself.
Oh my god, it's funny.
You're disciplined. You've been so fucking disciplined. It's been so inspiring to see you grinding all these days. You know, it really is.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know what it feels like to be doubted, you know, and use that as fucking fuel. Because, like, there's nothing, I mean, it's a little bit of pride, but there's nothing better than for me to go pick up my dad in the middle of the day, or go to the bank with him in the middle of the day. To help him, to spend time with him, but just so he also sees that I'm able to. I can, you know. I have, and this is not to brag, but there are people that are able to pay rent now because of me. You know, that is a wild to think about. And it's all because I've been able to envision bigger, to dream bigger, to envision a better life, to imagine that something can be done better, to feel like something that I have in my mind can come to life and be created in great quality. And there's nobody that can take that away from me except God.
We both cried.
Yes.
Crying of the day done.
I haven't had breakfast yet.